Hello friends. In my previous video, I bought 13 random Steam games from someone on Reddit for $3. The first two games, A Virus Named Tom and Ballistic, were average games and I rated them at a dollar value combined. That dollar value is my own approximation. To you they may be worth more or less. Let's move on to this week's games. My next reveal ended up being even more games than I thought. The Steam key was originally from Make Love Not War No. 2 bundle that Sega periodically has. To my surprise, when I entered the key, I got not one, but 3 complete games. This brings me up to 15 games for the price of $3. The first game I played was Binary Domain. This is a third-person shooter set in Japan in the future. Our hero, Dan, and his buddy Big Bo are on a covert operation to check on the Japanese government who are making robotics with an advanced AI. Evil robots attack almost immediately, so shooting and taking cover are the order of the day. Your buddy Bo can be communicated with via microphone. There's a preset list of commands Bo understands. It's a novelty that I'm not sure is worth the time, but I give credit to the devs for trying something different. Dan is armed with a special assault rifle that has a charged shot. The charged shot requires holding down the middle mouse button, which the game only communicates to you by saying press M. It took me a while to figure out that M was not M on the keyboard, and there's nothing that said which mouse button it is. Eventually I figured out that pressing the middle mouse button did it, although it took several tries and it didn't always work. During the first level, there are several times where pressing F is needed to interact with the environment, such as flipping switches and diving underwater. The swimming in the game was sluggish and hard to control. Luckily, it didn't last that long. There are some quick time events which also use the F key. The enemy robots are a bit spongy and took more shots than I would have expected to destroy. If you can hit a robot enough times in the head, they'll glitch out and attack other robots. This isn't that useful, as getting enough headshots to glitch a robot was very difficult. It was quicker just to mow down the enemies rather than try and line up that unique headshot. Killing robots gets you money, which you can use to buy permanent upgrades to your characters, new weapons, ammunition, and other goodies. I do enjoy games where upgrades can be purchased, so this was a definite plus for me. The game looks good with crisp graphics and nice effects like rain pouring down. Sound is respectable with gunshots having a real punch to it, and top quality voice acting, although you may find your partner to be a little too chatty and the banter to be over the top, but I have to say, I enjoy the conversations. So far, this is the highest quality game I've gotten out of this little adventure. The character progression system adds depth to the already fun combat. The game has multiple possible endings, encouraging replays where you can try out different character builds. The third-person view doesn't do the game any favors, however, and I often felt like I was really hindered by that view. I'd give Binary Domain a respectable $2.50 value. Condemned: Criminal Origins is a tense psychological horror game where you play as FBI agent Ethan Thomas, who is investigating a serial killer in a town full of homeless people who have apparently turned psychopath. The game begins by investigating a murder of a young girl. Ethan has a host of forensic tools to use. He uses one of the devices to determine how the girl was murdered. The device highlighted fingerprints on her, which then you use to upload over a very Nokia-looking cell phone to your forensic lab partner. The lab partner determined the person who did the killing was missing a finger. The girl's body is laying on the floor opposite a dining table with a mannequin extending its hand over the table. Examining the mannequin with a green laser tool reveals that it has a mark carved on its face identical to other mannequins found at similar crime scenes. Your partner determines that this is another crime by someone known as the Matchmaker. Using both forensic tools was nothing more than really fiddling with the directional controls. The novelty is in finding the evidence, but not the actual mechanics of using the tools. Another officer on scene smells smoke and everyone goes to investigate. The psycho-homeless problem is in full effect as the lights are turned off from somewhere else in the building. The officers spread out and you get a phone call warning you that an addict is heading your way. You have a gun with limited ammo and no crosshair to aim. The maniac charges at you and can be dispatched with a few quick shots. Searching the building gives audio clues that there are other crazy people in there with you, and this really helps ramp up the tension. The audio cues were top-notch. It really sounded like someone stumbling around in a building. Unfortunately, aiming and shooting is not very satisfying. Bodies just fall to the floor with no real feedback that you hit the person. It's hard to articulate, but if you look at a game like Apex Legends and then you look at this, it's a night and day difference of shooting people. Perhaps part of the issue is the horrible frame rate. This is a PC port of an old console game, and frame rates dipped down into what felt like single-digit numbers. Looking at Steam review, this game has very positive reviews, but the positive reviews have one common thing. The people who reviewed the game played it in the past, so nostalgia was a driving force for those positive ratings. I can give credit to the game for creating tension, but the clunky controls, poor optimization, and only slightly interesting forensic tools made this one of my least favorite games so far. I'm going to rate this game worth 25 cents. Sega Mega Drive and Genesis Classics with the DLC of Streets of Rage 2. When this first installed, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. The name of the software led me to believe I was getting a collection of all these games in one package. Alas, that was not the case. This is a front-end emulator where all the games can be purchased separately as DLC. The intro on the emulator was so awesome, I had to include it in the background. For this emulator, most individual games go for $1. The included DLC that I got was Streets of Rage 2. This was a fun beat-em-up from back in the day. The antagonist, Mr. X and his syndicate, have returned from the original game and are taking Adam hostage. He's one of the characters from the first game if you never played it. You can pick from 4 playable characters, Axel, Blaze, Skate, or Max, and those are just some awesomely generic 90s names, and they're out to rescue their friend Adam. I did play this game on the original Genesis years ago, so I decided to mix up this playthrough and use the Japanese version. Either my memory failed me, which is entirely possible, or there really wasn't much difference between the US and Japanese versions. Each of the 4 playable characters have their own playstyle. Some are faster, some are stronger. Each of the characters warrants trying out as they have their own combos. All characters can use a super move which is effective but drains health. Gameplay is standard 90s beat 'em up, smash the buttons, wait on enemies to get closer, get a little mad when they're all off screen and you have to hover over at the edge, and then lose a lot of health to bosses with attacks that are very hard to avoid. Just as Condemned got good reviews from people with nostalgia, I would recommend this game to anyone who played it back in the day, but I would be much more hesitant to recommend it to someone who never played the original. This is a classic game worth revisiting if you have the rose-tinted glasses to view them with. This game is a 50-cent trip down memory lane. For a quick recap so far, I've played the following games and given them the following value. A Virus Named Tom was 50 cents, Ballistic was 50 cents, Binary Domain is leading the pack with a value of $2.50. Condemned Origins is the biggest loser so far at 25 cents. And lastly, Streets of Rage was 50 cents. This brings the total so far to $4.25 worth of entertainment on my own personal scale, and we've barely scratched the surface of the total games bought. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're looking as forward to the next video as I'm looking forward to making it.